Hi everyone. One of the most relaxing, calming flights I ever have is when I have the opportunity to fly from somewhere in the southern hemisphere to Europe. And most times we fly over the Sahara Desert. And you're sitting at, 30 something thousand feet above sea level, and you look down and you just see endless red sand. It's just like the ocean. You just see these waves of sand. It's just incredible. It goes on forever. And cutting through the sand, you'll see this little road, this black line, straight as anything. And sometimes you'll see there's another line that intersects it. And often I think to myself, if I was on that road in a motor car, wow, it must be so discouraging, just so monotonous, just to be on that road and mile after mile after mile of the same thing. But when you're up in the sky and you look down, everything changes. And you see, that's the attitude that we need to have in our hearts in our service with the Lord. It's so easy to be overwhelmed by the situations of life, the good things, the bad things, the busyness or pressures, demands. But you and I, all of us, we need to make sure, just as Jesus, that we draw aside and come before the Father and dwell in His presence and allow Him to enable us to see far and to see what He has, to have His perspective. It will open our hearts and allow faith to come, bring peace to come, His assurance in us that God is in control. We know that Jesus used to do this often. In fact, when He even took the disciples, they fell asleep. But He saw the need to come before the Father, because in that presence, everything took perspective, it took meaning, took direction, brought understanding, brought faith. We need to do the same. We see even with the early church that they understood the need to draw aside. That's why they went up in the upper room, where they could meet God and they could experience the promise of God about the Holy Spirit. You and I, with all the things that are happening, we need to determine to just meet God, come aside with Him. Take the time during the day, in the attitude of your heart. Just take the time to go for a walk, just to meditate on Him, to remind yourself of His goodness, of His faithfulness. Sometimes the situations can be crowding your mind. But you just need to draw back, draw aside, and see what God sees. And then you'll understand. And in our families, we need to learn to respect one another. And we need to learn to give each other time out. Sometimes our wife needs to have time out just to be alone and to meet with God. And we need to respect one another so that together we can see what God sees. God bless you.